everybody, and welcome to Soul Searching with Polly and Jane. But this week we have the lovely Bev Mann joining us as our guest, so we're going to hand over to Bev so she can tell you all a little bit about herself.
Welcome, Bev.
Thank you so much, Polly and Jane. Hi, everyone. I'm Bev Mann. I'm a clairvoyant medium and also tutor, and I also am the author of 2 books, Swipe Right, The Kosher Medium Goes Dating, and also Spirit Scandal and Sparkly Shoes, Confessions of a Kosher Medium. And also I like to see myself as an inspirer, particularly of women, helping to uplift and rebuild women that need that little bit of extra confidence.
So we will be putting links, or Jane will be because she's the techie. We'll be putting links to Bev's books and any courses that she'd like to promote, so that you can see exactly what Bev does or get involved, which would be lovely. So, Bev, what would you like to talk about today?
Well, one of the subjects I would very close to my heart is about rebuilding, because as I was saying before, I feel that we've taken us ladies have taken a long journey, and it's. I was given this workshop to do by Spirit, and I just woke up in the night thinking I've got to write this, which is called A Journey Back to You. And who is you? Who are you? Because over the years, over the decades, we've changed so much from small child to adolescent to teenager to going out with people, becoming a wife and a mother, and then looking after perhaps our elderly parents. We change our roles so much, and we're so busy helping and serving other people, we kind of lose ourselves. Well, I know that I have, and sometimes you can stop and question yourself, like, who am I? Because also all those people around you, your family, your friends, your students, they all have a different view of you. But how do you view yourself? What lens are you looking through? Because I think it can be quite confusing, because we tend to lose who we truly are along the way.
Yeah.
So a journey back to you is to rekindle with yourself and reconnect with yourself. Even though, like, during the decades of your life, you're changing, because you're not the same person that you were when you were 18 or 28 or 38 or however old you are. You're going to change, but what is the essence of you? Because we are so, like, we're so molded by society and who we should
Yeah.
be, and other
So,
people's views of who we should be.
so Bev, is your workshop you're going to do? Is it designed for women in general, or is it on a spiritual path, or is it women in general that may need to just find out? Yeah.
Women in general. I am going to make it women only. Perhaps in the future I may go into men, but I feel like that come out wrong, didn't it?
I was trying to hold myself in there.
Oh, there's always a faux pas along the way with me. Men go through things as well, but I feel that women would feel a little bit more inhibited by having men
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I wanted to keep it all female only. So there shouldn't be any barriers about what they can talk about.
No.
Because I feel like so many of us have been challenged as to our self-worth at some point in
Yeah.
lives.
And often the messages or the guidance that comes through is to start maybe concentrating on themselves more than feeling like they have to be needed, because many people do. And I feel like it is a conditioned thing, our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, because of like the eras they were born into and lived in. They were expected to take, and even now in certain cultures it would still be very much like that. There's so many people that have felt like they've been stuck in a role, or even to the point where, they get to an age and they've had children, and then their children are flying the nest or going to university or moving out and making a life of their own. And because I feel like, a lot of women, not all women, but a lot of women will throw themselves into motherhood, and they will throw themselves into that perfect wife or perfect partner. And then suddenly there's a big void. Single parent, there. I'm a worker. I really do work. Jane tells me off for the amount of work sometimes because then I moan I'm tired. I'm still active in as Jane is and as you might be, Bev, with like grandchildren, for example. Some people will come to us for readings and they are literally lost because their life feels like it's fallen apart because the role that they thought they made, envisaged and created has then suddenly gone away and they don't know what to.
All three of us are quite independent people. We've been very lucky to meet Bev in person, and we bumped into you, didn't we, a couple of years back in Olympia. We've all worked together on the same spiritual channel, even though it was like this through obviously internet. We've still known of each other. And we are all independent and we are all grandmothers. I know Bev's a grandmother as well. So we do have that role now as nans, grandmothers, whatever you want to call it. But even as a spiritual being, we could still be losing ourselves because like
Absolutely.
you've just said it. You work like a Trojan, which I know I'm just coming up for my 60th birthday. So I'm feeling like life is now time to calm down and I don't need to be doing it. I don't want to be doing it. And I'm obviously physically don't feel it anyway. But we can still go into a role of that reader, that tarot reader, that medium, and forget ourselves. We can still do that. So although you've just said you're independent and you've always coped quite well, I mean, again, I've been a single parent twice. I don't know about you, Bev, if you've ever had to parent as a single parent.
No,
No.
that's the thing. I was married for 29 years. So,
So
and
you always
then
had that person with you.
needed to move on from my life.
Yeah.
And I think that is also, part of my journey because I had such a fixed role as, the wife, the mother, the daughter, and then gradually I left my marriage, my mother passed, my children left the nest, and it's like, well, who am I? And also is that thing with imposter syndrome. All of a sudden, even though I was on my spiritual path for like more than 20 years, all of a sudden I don't want it to sound egotistical or whatever, but all of a sudden I was quite out there with my mediumship. And it's like you get this imposter syndrome, like who am I? I don't know who I am. Who am I? Am I the wife, the mother, the daughter? I was so close to my mom. And so when gradually those things slip out of your life and you're left with the shell, but you're always left with self. And it's about going back into yourself and rediscovering who you are.
So how did you do that, Bev? How did you, when was the realization that you suddenly thought, who am I? And how did you sort of come through that?
Well, the thing is that for me and for yourselves as well, being mediums, being very spiritual, and there's a lot of very spiritual people, even though they don't realize that they are sensitive. But I grew up, even now, I get told I'm oversensitive, I'm an overthinker, I overthink everything. I shouldn't be so sensitive to things. And I think that when you are following your spiritual pathway, you are open to other people's judgments about you, take on board other people's thoughts and feelings about you. In fact, you're interpreting them all the time because you're picking them up psychically. What someone says and what they actually mean can be two different things, as we well know. I think it can be quite a lonely path.
Yeah.
The question to your answer, I think that I started on my spiritual journey when my kids were sort of just coming into school age, they were just getting their little bit of independence and whatever. But I found that within my marriage, I was going one way, more spiritual, whereas my ex-husband was more in what he would call the real world. He needs to be tough for the workspace, etc. And when one person grows and the other person, stays on the same pathway, I don't want to say doesn't grow because they do grow in their own way.
They
But
grow from on their own path.
you
Yeah.
grow apart, and sometimes it is time to move on. But then there became that loss of identity because, and I shouldn't really say it, but I will, that I absolutely adored my ex's family, and I spent 33 years of my life being part of their life, and then all of a sudden I wasn't part of their life anymore or their children's lives. And that was such a huge, rude awakening for me, because you think you're still going to be friends, whatever happens. And then the self-worth, the things that happens, obviously I'm not going to go into detail, but certain events and things happen, left me on the floor. And I had to deal with it, Polly, because there was no way out of it. It was really like the dark night of the soul. It was like roll over, give in and die, or pick yourself up. You can't be dragging the past around with you like a ball and chain. And I worked a lot on myself, because none of us are perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So there were things that I might have blamed other people for, but I then had to be an adult and look at myself and say, actually, there's no smoke without fire, blah, blah, blah. I have to take my responsibility into the way things happen in my life. None of us can say it's completely the other person. There's always cause and effect, isn't
Yeah.
there?
Absolutely.
I put myself in a women's empowerment group, and I put myself under, I met someone just by pure chance who was, she's actually a hypnotherapist, but she was one person that I met at a retreat that totally got me. And I did a lot of one-to-one work with her, and it's been a journey. And like I say to people, you can have scars, but I don't think, and I mentioned about this in my book, and the lady who helped me with my book, we had a huge disagreement about it, because she said, how can you liken it to a scar? And I said, you can, because that scar is always open to being picked,
Yeah.
or the falling off, and you can never fully get over something. It's there. It's an etching, isn't it? It's a bit like they're showing me, like Charles and Camilla, where they carved their name in the tree. It's there, and you can't.
No, you can't. And I do,
And
and I
sometimes
think
things
it
come
is
along and
scars.
scratch it.
It's emotional scars. So they
Correct.
are there. Even if you can't physically see it, like you would. I mean, I've got a lovely scar on my leg from when I broke it 6 years ago, that you can
Oh, yeah.
see, but the emotional scars are deeper. A normal scar is a scar. I'm not dismissing anyone that's had surgery. I've got a few of them on my body, but an emotional scar is quite deep, because you can't see it and you don't know how much damage it's done
And
there.
other people don't see
No,
it. It's a bit like mental illness. They
yeah,
see you if you've got a broken leg, but they won't see you if you're a schizophrenic or whatever. So people don't see, and I think a lot of women and men mask their scars.
yeah.
They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to. Whereas I've always been an open book. I will happily talk about issues and stuff like that, but not everyone is like that, are
I
they?
think that's what makes, and again, not just women, and especially men, but I think that's what still makes a lot of women dubious of opening up, because of their scars, because of what people may have done to them. They're scared to open up to people. But also, sometimes I'm quite open book. Polly will tell you that. I don't care. In the last decade, life has not been easy for me. The last 4, it certainly hasn't been easy for me. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I don't care what anyone says about me. And I don't really care if I tell people what's happened, like last week, if it was, because I'm quite open and honest. And if people don't like my open and honesty, that's unfortunate. It's not me going, oh, look what's happened to me, drama, 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 because that's what I got accused of by old friends. It is generally because I'm quite open and honest. I've always been very honest. I just wasn't very open as a teenager. So, like you said, the way you change, the way you develop. So I learned after my first divorce, funny enough, to be more open about my feelings, because I kept all my suspicions of my first husband and having an affair to myself. I didn't tell my closest friend. I didn't tell my family. I was managing 2 toddlers and I was trying to cope with life, and I kept it to myself. And I realized that when the shit hit the fan, like it does when a marriage breaks up, everyone was going, well, why didn't you say something? Well, maybe one, pride, because I was still only in my late 20s, early 30s. 2, because I've always been quite, not secretive, but I'm quite a private person, so I'm not very trusted. I mean, I didn't trust my friend, but everyone assumes you've got a perfect relationship or a perfect this. So I had to learn at that age and at that divorce that you don't have to keep everything to yourself, because that was probably one of my first emotional scars from relationship. So yeah, it is weird out. So now I'm quite open about it. And then people go, oh, here she goes again. Here she goes again, trauma. But it's not, because I'm being open so that no one pussyfoots around me. There's a lot of private stuff that only certain people will know. Polly, if I've got something going on, I'll tell Polly, I'll tell my close friends, but I don't divulge to our group or anything else what's going on day to day, because that's my business. And when I'm working, it's nobody else's business.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
then you get
yeah.
accused of being secretive again. But actually, I'm very good at keeping professional and personal separate, because I've always worked in a corporate way. So I've had to do that. So it is weird, but those scars do still stay there. I always say them as shelves as well. You're putting them on a shelf and hoping you've dealt with them, but you haven't actually dealt with them, because, like you said, something could happen and you might pick it a little bit and then wonder why
Or
you
someone says something
yeah,
and it picks
triggers
at an old
something.
wound.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
trigger
yeah,
point,
yeah, it's a
isn't it?
trigger.
But the thing
And
is,
sorry, go on, Bev.
yeah, sorry. No, I just wanted to say that I'm a very, very open book, but I'm just trying to be respectful of my family and whatever. I'm mindful that I don't say anything to upset anyone, because I've had to work really hard to get things back on an even keel. That's like my number one priority, at the end
Yeah.
of the day
So when you
is,
wrote your first book, The Kosher Medium, is
oh
it?
yeah, here it is.
I
Yeah,
remember
here.
seeing it. In fact, yeah. So when you wrote that, it's obviously based on you, but have you changed names in it? Most people do, don't they? Is it?
I No, the only names I changed was when I talked about the SNU, how they wanted to take me to the tribunal when my mum was dying, and they acted in the most unspiritual way. Names were changed because I didn't want,
Liable.
yeah, I just didn't want that shit,
No.
basically. But actually, it's funny you should ask me that question, obviously spirit-led question, because it was going through my mind before when I was talking about being respectful and things like that. I changed the whole chapter, one of these whole chapters at the very, very last minute. My co-writer was Linda Dearsley, who wrote all Doris Stokes' books.
That's
Doris
who you're going to
Stokes
be
was
working
great.
with shortly, isn't it? We'll
Yeah,
talk about
yeah.
that in a bit.
And so I said to her, Linda, I need to change this, because I wrote from the heart. The book was actually, when I first started writing the book, it was like why I got divorced and things that happen and whatever. But the spirit had a different idea, and it ended up being more about my spiritual journey and the lessons and teaching people what it's like to be a medium. But I changed the whole subject in reference to my marriage, because I wanted to try to be respectful to my ex and my kids and everything else. But it wouldn't have really
Sometimes it's
mattered. That's
hard
all
to
I
be
should say.
respectful if you're trying to get across how you feel, and that doesn't mean you're disrespecting somebody, but you're entitled to feel how you feel, and you're
I know,
entitled to
but again, you
communicate.
try and protect people that
Yeah,
are
I get
close
that.
to you, but sometimes it goes tits up anyway, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it's a very fine line, isn't it? But at the end of the day, it's something you did and you're proud of, which is amazing, isn't it? And me and Jane both have got like maybe the start of a book going, but
No, don't laugh.
I've
I've just
just
started
cannot.
2 books. I started a book about 10 years ago and never read. I mean, if I didn't know where to start in my life, because my life should be televised, actually, it'd be quicker. But I didn't know where to start, back, front, whatever. And then randomly, a few months ago, we actually see a medium. We sat in the audience of a medium. And he told me that I was or going to write. I think he said I was writing a book. The weird thing is, I hadn't told Polly I'd started it. I kept sitting at my laptop typing things, and then I was thinking, "Now, how can I do this quicker?" Because I'm getting slow now in my old age, and I'm not into AI. I'm not a lover of AI. I might run a poster through it afterwards, but I like to do everything myself. So I won't be writing a book on AI. But I thought, oh, do they still do those dictaphones? Where you can talk in it and then get
Yeah.
someone else to type it up? Because I know an author, and she's been quite helpful. So randomly after that show, I went back and re-edited the book I'd started, the second book, because the first one, 10 years, is sitting in the dust. And it's a totally random story. It's true, but it's totally random. And I probably might have to change. Well, I will have to change names, because it's about my friends. And I know that it's not going to go down too well. But I've upset enough people now anyway, for one reason or another. So yeah.
You've got to
But
change
it's
the names
weird.
of them.
I hadn't told anyone. I hadn't even I'd not intentionally not told Polly. I just didn't get round to mention it, because we're always talking
I
about
don't
something
think
else.
it's ever really come up. Yeah.
Had it
But
really?
can I
I
just
But it was weird how he knew, and I was sitting there thinking, how funny, because I was going to go back and change a bit of that, and I've even changed the title.
But I can tell you
This
that's what happened to me.
I am writing on quicker.
Oh, right. But that's what happened to me even before I became a medium. And I'd lost my dad, and I was going to see a medium. And this was someone I didn't know. It was someone brand new. And she said to me, you should be swapping seats. I said, how do you mean? She said, well, you're the medium. You should be giving me a reading. Anyway, she gave me a couple of little things to do, like psychic thing with her. And then she went on to say, you're going to write 3 books. And I practically laughed in her face. I was thinking, write a book. I rarely even read a book, let alone write a book. But she said, you are going on to write 3 books. And I've got 2.
So there's still number 3.
Still got a third
number
to
2.
do.
That's number 2.
Number 3, Bev says all. Bev reveals all. It's like the proper.
Well, this book is quite This book is quite revealing.
Is that the one?
I knew I had to write this book.
But you've been travelling quite a bit this year, and is that the one when you went to the airport? It was on the bookshelf, or was that the first one?
Yeah, we were messing around. Yeah, we put it on the bookshelf. We were laughing our heads off.
CAR. I told you it's dangerous.
But this book is about, you can be a medium, but your psychic antenna can be right off. So this is about my dating experiences and since post-divorce. So it's kind of like a sequel to the first one, but they've all got spiritual connotations. Like the guy I was going on a date with, we arranged to meet in a pub, and the night before I was woken up by a man in my room. And he's like looking at me like this, and he's looking. I'm thinking, I woke up, get out my room, like that. And then the next day I go for a date with this guy, and he says, my dad, after talking about what I do, so my dad would have really liked you. He was a spiritualist. I said, oh, really? And I'm thinking about it. He starts talking about his dad. I said, you got a picture of your dad? Gets out his phone. He shows me a picture of his dad. It was only the man that came to visit me in my sleep the night before. So I think, do I tell him or not? Because I'm going to really freak him out. So I thought, okay, I'm going to tell him. So I said, look, I hope you don't mind me saying, but your dad came to visit me the night before, last night. Woke me up. So he goes, oh, yeah, he would do that. He was a right nosy bugger.
Checking you out.
Yeah,
it's funny, as psychic mediums, we're so good at helping. Well, we'd like to think, and that's not egotistic. We'd like to think we are good at helping other people, but I'm crap. I'm crap with love life. I've had 2 husbands.
Oh God, I'm so bad.
I mean,
so that's why I wrote the book.
They both served a purpose. Yeah, both husbands served a purpose, and I'm still in contact with the first one, but relationships since, I've had a couple of rendezvous scenarios. Met someone on holiday. It turns out he only lived in Romsey, so I met up with him. And then it was a bit like, oh no, do you know what? No. Radar is either totally shut down now in case I do make another mistake, or like you said, going back to what the topic was, I think I've spent so many years being the girlfriend, then the wife twice. I've had children with both husbands. So I've always been a mother. I've worked even with the young ones when I was a single parent, I've had to work. So I've always worked. I've always had hobbies. I've always had a social life. So I'm very much a sociable person. So everything was always hectic and busy. And then suddenly I got a little bit unwell. And so I had to slow down. But actually now I think, do you know what? I just want to be me. So men in my life are not really important at the moment. I just want to be me. And I've enjoyed the time being me. That said, I've had other personal stuff going on where I haven't had time to be me either, because I've been helping other people in the family be their self. So it hasn't entirely given me my freedom of being me, but it has still made me realise finding a man at the moment is not my be and end all. People think I'm a bit weird, but I'm not. I've had 2 husbands. I've had two.
No, but at the end of the day, don't you think that's I mean, I'm happy in a relationship, and so that's all good. Do you know what I mean? And that's great. But for other people who have gone through like divorces or breakups or what have you, or realise that perhaps they did you no favours at all, we're looking back, and perhaps you'd been in a situation, not you, I'm talking about anybody, where you've ignored the red flags for quite a while, and then suddenly the red flags are like going in your face. But isn't it liberating to not want or need something? isn't it liberating when you don't feel like you have to be a girlfriend or a wife or anything else? I mean, and obviously money depending, if you got the opportunity to do something, you haven't got to think about anyone else except yourself to a
That's
degree.
right. I think that is something that I've enjoyed. I mean, again, I did still go out with my girlfriends. I still went away with my second husband. Money was tight, sometimes in the first marriage, but with my second husband, we were more comfortable. So I did go away at weekends with my girlfriends. I did just do it. I always said, "Oh, you're right if I go on this." Never, yeah, it was always a discussion. It wasn't like Jane goes off and does this. That's not what you said in the divorce case, but that is the truth. I never just did it. I respected that he'd be at home looking after our son, but have always been quite independent that way. And obviously I travelled a lot I went on holiday with the first husband, but the second husband we travelled a lot. So I'm lucky, yes, that I've travelled anyway. But now like when I went to India last year, I didn't have to ask anyone. I just went. And I stayed for a month because I didn't have to check in with anyone. I've got no small, although my daughter was upset because I wasn't there to babysit for a month, but I had no reason to be worrying about anyone else. Well, obviously my eldest because he's been unwell. But when you've got a partner, and again, it goes back to when you said about respect as well. You do have to respect when you're in a relationship that you can't just both do what you want. Otherwise, that's not really a relationship, is it? You
No,
need
not
to
really.
know you balance yourself out. But I do love the fact if I don't want to cook, I don't cook no more. And I've always cooked. I've always been a home cooker. I've always cooked for everyone. I used to do dinner parties for people. Now my older boys still live at home, so I don't know about kids flying the nest when you mentioned that earlier. They're still at home. But I've always cooked, and now I'm like, I'm not cooking tonight. Sort yourself out, because that's the beauty of being on your own.
Yeah, but I mean, I am completely on my own, and that's one of the things that I thought about this workshop when it sort of came to me was because it's a journey back to me. And going back to what you said, being in a marriage for 29 years and being with my ex-husband for 33 years, which was, at that time, more than half of my life, all of a sudden to find myself on my own through my own choice, but to find myself on my own, it was like, well, who am I? I'm living on my own. I've only got myself to please. And then it was quite daunting. It wasn't that I was without a boyfriend because, like in the book, I went on a lot of dates to try and find the one. And I realize now that actually I'm the one
Mm.
because truly and honestly, I'm at that point now that you hear other people talk about it, but you don't really get it until you get it. Penny lands, and all of a sudden yeah, I don't need anyone to complete me. I am complete inside because if I can't make myself happy, then
No one else is
I
going
don't
to.
need someone else to do it. Like, yeah, it's nice to have material things and someone to do nice things for you. But it's about the happiness deep within, like you say,
Mhm.
not having to report back to anyone else. And one of the things I did, and even now I get people come up to me and say, "You're that lady in that blog." I did a lot of solo traveling. And last Christmas I did a cruise on my own, a solo cruise.
Lovely.
And it was quite a lot to do on your own. I know a lot more and more people are doing solo traveling, and I would really advocate doing that. But it was so empowering because I know women and especially men who won't even go for dinner on their own
No.
and go
Mhm.
on holiday on their own. And it's such an empowering thing to do. Like, do it, everyone, do it. You come into yourself because
So
you
was
learn to.
your cruise for solo travellers, or was it you just went solo?
No, there were families, couples. I did Virgin because it was like 18, over 18, so there were no kids because I was going Christmas time, and Christmas is a very
You didn't go
difficult
back to
time.
your room and find a package on your bed, did you?
What package?
Because Virgin have been known to run those over at their adult cruises where you
Yeah,
can
there was no upside down
it could be a
pineapples.
pineapple to hang out.
No, it's the pineapples. No, I made sure no one stuck anything on my door.
But we might have to read your book now to just find out. I've got so many books I'm trying to get through at the moment,
I'll,
but
I'll
just find
never
out if you had a
forget.
pineapple in it.
I never forget though that the first day they had like the leaving party, and so everyone was upstairs on the top deck by the pool and handed a glass of champagne or whatever it was, and we all like did the sail away, and then everyone disappeared, and I didn't know where anyone was. I spoke to a few people, and I'm walking around this huge ship, and I was practically in tears thinking, oh my God, I've got like 10 days of this, and I don't know completely on my own. It was really quite daunting, but I can honestly say it's the best thing I ever did.
You wouldn't have
Because you
been on
you
your
only
so I'm
trust
taking it
yourself.
you weren't on your own forever because obviously you did meet people and talk to people and got chatting with people.
Yeah, I have to say I'm quite a good mixer.
Yeah.
I do make and I think the fact that when you're a clairvoyant medium, people are always, they're either
Well
interested or they run
well, they're
away.
just drawn to you because when I was younger, I used to get strange people just talk to me for no reason, and
Yeah,
now I know why they
exactly.
were drawn to me.
Yeah. I'm
I
I'm
was
like the village idiot, Beth. I'm like the
Yeah,
village idiot. I talk to everyone.
I talk to everyone as well.
the reason I
But
asked about the
there was
cruise
cliquey
is
there as
that
well. There was a
sorry.
bit cliquey there as well, like the younger generation. Like for me, a lot of my friends are younger. So age is just a number to me,
Yeah.
but there were like little cliques and whatever. And I thought, oh, Bev, just
Well,
get over yourself.
maybe because that's Virgin and Virgin's got that status, I don't
I
know.
want to party as well. I don't care. I'm over 60. I want to
Yeah.
party as
But
well.
they now are
I
doing
could party
solo
whilst I'm
cruises,
annoying.
aren't they? They're actually doing cruises just for solo people. I see it come up the other day. They're literally launching solo cruises so people can go on their own and meet
I
other
went to
people.
India on my own as well. I was meeting a friend afterwards in Goa, but I just split up with someone here in the UK, and it was again just before Christmas. And I couldn't get a direct flight to Goa, and I always wanted to go to the Taj Mahal, so I ended up going to Delhi and Agra on my own. And I remember the night before, I was like shaking, thinking, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm going to India on my own as a single woman. And even my daughter said to me, Mum, they're all going to be like, she said, you're blonde, got blue eyes, and you're too generous. Everyone's going to be like taking bits of you, like your phone, watch your phone, do this, don't do that. But it's so empowering.
I mean, yeah, you have got to watch for people trying to steal stuff that way. But I think in regards to the actual Indians themselves, they absolutely love.
God, I didn't mean them. Yeah, I didn't mean
No.
them. I meant
There was
traveling on
not. I
your
don't
own,
think there was anyone. I didn't find anyone in India threatening, other than the odd beggar that you had to be.
They are wonderful, absolutely
What? Yeah. I
wonderful.
mean, you only have got to
And your
sit down,
taxi
and
driver,
Traveling
Jane.
on your own,
they just
like,
sit. As soon as you sit down, they sit next to you, and they're all having the family photographs with you in it. So I found it absolutely fascinating. I loved them. I thought they were lovely people to be
they're so
around.
humble, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're so
so humble.
lovely.
I was just talking about your taxi driver. That was the only bit that was.
So my first night in India didn't go well. We were tired. We flew into Delhi. We were tired. Got a little bit of a delay. By the time we got out the airport, everything was shut down in Delhi airport. So it was a bit like, oh, what do we do? Got done a pre-booked taxi, but didn't realise that it had I don't know if it was a bit of a rip-off. Anyway, he didn't take me to my hotel. He tried to take me somewhere else. So I said, where you going? You're going that way. Yeah, so it was a little bit daunting, and he took us to a family hotel. And basically, 2 hours later, when I said, "You can take me to a hotel now, you're going to be sorry," the hotel that I'd booked here in England was a scam. And he was trying to stop me going to it. And when he eventually pulled up outside it didn't even have the same name. And I remember going into this hotel and with my phone going, "Is this you? Is this you?" And the bloke went, "Yeah." And I went, "Well, it's not you, is it? Because that's not what it looks like on booking.com. Look at it." And it was just men everywhere. And by this point, it was 3:30 in the morning. We had a tour guide picking us up at 8:30 in the morning at that hotel. So we had to be there. And I went to my friend, "Do you know what? We'll just stay here. We'll sleep in our clothes. We won't unpack nothing," because it was awful. I went, and as soon as our guide comes, we're out of here and we're off to Agra doing our Golden Triangle. Looking back, if we were younger and if we'd been on one of us had been on our own, yeah, not safe at all. But we had to, because we needed that tour guide to pick us up.
Yeah.
And I did report it to booking.com. They weren't interested. So basically, they take photographs of hotels, put it on saying it's them, and it's not. It's some backstreet thing. So the Indian from the airport was actually trying to take me somewhere safer.
Yeah.
But I had to keep explaining, "You can't take me there. My guide is coming tomorrow, so you can't take me there." But yeah, but I loved India and I'd love to go back. I have solo travelled, but I've always solo travelled to meet people. I've never actually gone anywhere on my own and stayed
I
there.
think my daughter was concerned that I can be a little bit gullible sometimes and like, I want to help people. So I think that that's where that was coming from, that I
Yeah.
was traveling alone. can be a little. It
So
can be a
how
little.
did you get from Delhi to Goa?
Well, what happened?
Yeah, because we trained.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, I was on my own. But what happened was before I went, someone gave me the number of a driver, and which was lucky that I did, because when I arrived at Delhi airport, there were thousands, literally, of them trying to pick you up and take you
Yeah.
somewhere as you get in any airport. And my phone wasn't working for some reason, maybe because it was where I was in the world that didn't have a signal. But luckily the guy found me, and I did have someone booked, so he drove me to my hotel, and then I went on to Goa myself. I just booked an internal flight from Delhi to Goa.
So that's quite a big empowering thing to do. Like you said, that's a massive.
Yeah, I went from area to area, and coming back, I had to go back through another city. So, and I had to stay overnight in that city. So I've really grown a lot in the way that I've got the confidence to do that now. And
So
that's why I say it's quite
let's
empowering.
talk about your other workshops, because the last few weeks I've just seen you posting different things. You've got your Doris Stokes experience coming up. That's November, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Me and
Yeah,
Polly we're actually at another event.
I literally just said that I literally took out a couple of years I mean, I did a few readings here and there, but I didn't do any teaching, stopped my circle. I didn't do any workshops because I didn't realize it was actually a journey back to myself. I needed that time to take on board everything that happened to me in the last 10 years and to learn to grow from it rather than play the victim, you know? So, yeah, so you've seen a lot that I've been putting out there because Bev is back. So, funnily enough, on the next table to me, she was doing palmistry at the time, and I saw she had all the very old versions of Doris's books on her table, and we got talking. We became very good friends, and I told her that years ago I was told that I was going to write 3 books and blah blah blah, and I said I'm going to write this book. We became friends. She came over to my house a few times for lunch because she lived quite away from me, so we just met up at my house. And one day I said, you know what? I've got writer's block and I haven't even started writing this book. So can you help me? So we came to an arrangement and Linda helped me. She helped co-write my books and we had good fun. We had good fun with them. And that's how she actually wrote Doris's books, was by the dictaphone, actually.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what she is doing. Right, we've lost Polly, people, but I may be able to put her back in. She's playing around. I don't know why she's playing around with it.
Yeah, yeah. I saw the hand go out.
So
But
that's
yes, yeah, so so that's so ages ago, Linda has said to me she'd like to start a school in the name of Doris to honor Doris, because there were a lot of bad things that were said about Doris, which was so untrue, because she was one of the most genuine mediums and unegotistical mediums that there were during that time. And so we were going to set up a school, and then we were hit by COVID. And cut forward, we'd been playing with the idea, and then Linda ran into someone called Lee Roberts, who's an excellent medium. And it turns out that Lee was picked out by Doris in one of her audiences when he was a small boy and told that he was going to be a medium. So she helped him with a little bit of training for him. And then so he came along with his friend Laura, who's another medium. And then we decided to do this Doris Stokes experience.
wow. So that's the beginning of November. I see the date because me and Polly are actually working in Dorset then that weekend. Because
What a shame. It's the
I would
7th
like,
of November in
yeah,
Barnet.
we're away all weekend working at an event, which is a shame because I would have liked that. I'm terrible medium in the way that because I know who Doris Stokes is. I knew who Jennifer Cora was. I hear names. I'm one of these people that had a fascination with spirit stuff and could obviously do certain things, but tried not to pay attention to it. If I was honest, I didn't want to do these things. And then people talk about things now and all this, and I just go, yeah. Who? But I do know who Doris Stokes is. I've never read one of her books. I will own up to that. I am a reader, but I've got so many books that I've been trying to read lately. Something that I always did, I struggle doing now because I seem to always be doing something spiritual and not finding the time for me to read. And we had the lovely Bryony Best on a few months ago, and she told me to stop making excuses and just find half an hour a day to read, and I'd get through those books. And I've been trying to do that now because I have enjoyed it. But yeah, I was just saying, Polly, Doris Stokes' experience is the weekend we're in Dorset, so we obviously can't go to that, but it does look interesting.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
it's
does
a
sound
new
interesting.
thing.
Yeah, we're only limited to 60 tickets because we've got the most beautiful venue in a golf country club, but the room that we've taken is limited. So we're going to make it like an intimate evening. And Linda Dearsley is going to be talking about her experiences with Doris. She would have met some very interesting high profile people through her time working with Doris. And then she's going to be interviewing like us, like how Doris has affected our lives, because Lee had some bit of training with her. She used to phone him once a week for a little while, training him. Then second half's going to be an evening of mediumship, doing a little dem between the three of us.
Hmm.
So it's going to be
I will
awesome
put that on
serious.
at the end of our show so that people can see that. What about your other workshops? Because I think yesterday it went ping, 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 ping.
No, never do anything by half. Don't just announce one workshop. Let's just do 4. So the first one is the journey back to you. I kind of run it as a series, but anyone can take 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, or all of them. One is the journey back to you, which is about your self-worth and discovering who you truly are, the loving yourself. And the second one is awaken to your psychic potential, which is based purely on psychic. Because I used to do a psychic and a beginner's mediumship together, and I found it was too much in a day. So it's all going to be about learning about your psychic faculties, the things like deja vu and knowing things before people say them, feeling into people's energy, that kind of thing. And a bit of psychometry.
Yeah.
And then the third workshop is like beginner's mediumship. So there's that one. My brain's gone soft. Can't
Are they
remember
all
what it's.
in person, or are you
Can you
doing
be a
any online?
medium? Could you be a medium? Could you be a
I
medium?
might try that one, Polly. Do you think I could be a medium?
No,
No.
sorry. I think it'd be rubbish.
I always say it. So I would go, oh, no.
The last workshop is just working with those that already been working with spirit. It's
Yeah.
moving beyond the boundaries
Wow.
So are
of your
they
mediumship.
online or in person, Bev?
No, these are in person.
They're
I've
in
gone back to
person.
old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
I've done all my workshops online, which is the beauty is that people can join all throughout the world. Had a lot of people from America, Iceland, Australia who can join in. But, pre-COVID, when we did everything in person, there's something about doing things in person.
I
And so many
agree.
people were asking me. So those that can get to Barnet, please buy your tickets, which are
Wow.
going to be on Eventbrite, or they can save the Eventbrite fees and contact me direct.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've been very busy, Bev.
She
I
has been
have.
very busy. Like she said, she's been quiet and now she's very, very busy.
That's it. It's
You
like
know what? Teaching
two.
is my passion because I feel like knowledge is there for sharing.
Yeah.
And even like this journey back to you is based on my experiences because I'll first to say I'm not a fully qualified counsellor, but I'm a counsellor in life, and there's nothing like life experiences because
No, but in the old
unless
days, we would
you're
have
in the
all been
shoes,
seen as counsellors. In the Egyptian times, they used psychics as their counsellors. So we are, in our own way, counsellors. I mean, there's probably a lot of psychic mediums out there that may not have the same empathic way of doing it, but we have an integrity and a job to do where we are not to upset our clients. We are to help or encourage them or try and guide them in a different way, whatever we're offering them. I mean, I enjoy my teaching, my healing teaching, because that's healing I love anyway. Me and Polly teach development once every fortnight. We teach trance, the other for Monday in between. We wouldn't be doing that if we didn't care about people, and we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't want people to grow in their own spiritual journey, but also to help people and be out there, be able to go out and maybe deal with their life traumas, their scars that they've got so that they can move on. So we are counsellors, whether we have I do have a diploma in it, not bragging or nothing,
I think we're all natural
but
counsellors,
we
aren't
wouldn't be
we?
doing the job we were doing if we didn't care about people.
but especially if you've walked the walk, and you've lived it, you've lived the loneliness, you've gone through the divorce, you've gone through the grief of losing someone very close, whether it's through a passing or someone stepping out of your life. I remember someone saying to me, was actually a counsellor, that she went out with a group of 7 women and half of them had lost their husbands because they'd passed and the other half were divorced. And the general consensus at the end of that conversation was that the women who had lost their husbands said it must be a lot harder for those who are divorced because their still husbands are around and carrying on with their lives and etc. Like we all are carrying on with our lives, but there's not that real cut off. There's always children or something else that you are tied to.
There's always, I mean, some can be amicable and some can not be so amicable. So there's always going to be that cord or there's something that's bringing you back. Like you said, even if it's not children, there's unfinished business sometimes, things that need healing. But then grief is grief. So even a divorce is grief. And again, friendships, when we talked about friendships the other week, even coming away from a friendship, even if it's a mutual choice, they are the equivalent to partners because you put a lot of trust in them. And you treat them in the same way to a degree, other than the intimacy side. So you're not, when that happens and that ends, that's still a loss. So it's still a grief. So
it is.
That is really awful when you lose a friend. I think you can take that very deeply.
Yeah.
But as well, sometimes, like we said last week, and if you hadn't watched last week, everyone at home, do watch last week because you'll understand then, about, again, growth, spiritual growth and self-growth. We are sort of, I think we're just about coming
we are coming to an end. So is there anything you would like to end with, Bev?
No, just to come on from what you just said there. It's all grief, but these are experiences that can make you, and I say can make you because it depends on how you view things. Like I try and always work from a positive thing, like people say, oh, I'm cup half full. And I say, no, I'm totally full. My cup is overflowing because now everything that happens, I look at it as an experience to help me grow. And if that hadn't happened, something worse could have happened. So do you know what I mean? I see everything as, you have to see everything as a positive and learn and grow from it.
I agree.
And that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I think me and Polly are very much on that same wavelength. I think any of us couldn't really do the job we did if we haven't experienced some kind of grief, trauma, or life experience. Because how can we help others? Because sometimes you're reading and you almost feel like that person's you. You're sitting in front. There's another version of you sat there and you're giving a reading to something that's happened to you. Also, I think we have to stay positive. We can't sit and be moany we're allowed to moan, we're human beings, but we need to be a positive half full glass to help our clients, to help people that come to us, and even people that are going to watch this. People are going to want to watch this and feel better about themselves, not watch this and go, oh God, them three made me feel really down and thingy. So despite everything, I think that's just the nature of our work. If anyone's not like that in our work, maybe they should change their work. Maybe.
Can I just add on to that is that actually as a medium, and I was talking about this the other day, that we actually learn and grow through our readings for other people, because quite often the way spirit work is they'll bring someone to you for a reading and you can take from what spirit is inspiring you to say, you can take from that advice,
That is quite interesting. And we find that at demos sometimes, don't we, Polly, that we're sitting there going, that actually related to me. Or sometimes there's something to come out and it'd be for one of us and we go, I can't do that. We haven't paid the ticket. We're the ones working. But it is quite interesting. And I know, and people might think, oh, that's a bit cheeky. You can't help why spirit comes out. The strange thing is that the audience won't know when someone comes out and gives you a message, whether you're on the stage or not. And actually that happened at our last demo we did with somebody else. The other medium he gave me, it was actually one of my spirit relatives, but at that time no one was aware what was going on at home, so it was very relevant to me whether I was part of the show or not. So it is interesting, and I think we're always going to grow in this job, right up until the day we pass, and then we're going to grow more because we're going to be coming back haunting everybody and being the
we are.
Yeah,
I know where I'm going first.
It's been lovely to have you. We've been trying to do this for a few weeks. We finally got to do it.
No, thank you so much.
I will copy you in. We're going to say goodbye. Thank you, Bev, for being with us.
It's been much for inviting me. I've had a great time. You're lovely to chat with.
So all day.
Oh, shucks. Well, we might get you back on then in the new year. We'll get you back on and see how you
Have a good
love
natter.
to.
And when
We
you
had a
do,
good
if you
old
do the
natter.
Doris Stokes again, we would love to come up
Well,
and try that.
the idea is that we are going to take it to other counties, you
Yeah.
know. around-
Portsmouth.
Yeah, we'd
Oh,
love to
yeah,
do
we
that.
will do.
As soon as
We
it
will
came
do.
up, I looked at it and thought, oh, we're bloody away.
No, we are. The idea is that we're going to do more and, you know, and grow it because, yeah, we want to spread the
Yeah,
good work that she's done around the world.
100%. Okay.
Right then.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you,
so
everyone.
much.
Thank you for watching and thank you, Bev. Take care, everyone.
See you later.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.